Okay.
Trying to figure out why we're all silent.
Because I'm trying to,
Because there are saints crossing the room. Okay, we can call the meeting. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. It's 4:33, January 11, 2024. We have present in the room Director of Arts and Cultural Affairs, Kit Potter, Commissioner Cecily Wilson.
Dina's up.
Because I keep changing everybody's name, Dina. You're gonna be Dina's word means Lisa Kelly, myself, Marielena Ferrer. We have yes, Richard Problem, Sarah Pasti, Lori Chiara, and we have online Sue Cahill and Maggie Inge, right?
And the DJ.
Oh, and DJ is present. Okay,
And
so
Isabel.
and Isabel is also. So does that mean that we have quorum, or we need to have 5 here?
3, 4. You have 8 members right now, so just 4.
No, but the quorum is always 5. But since DJ announced that he was going to be online, we have quorum.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So we start the meeting, and I will call
DJ,
for the approval
Hold
of the.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Sure.
DJ, can you please speak to make sure we can hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am at a location that's ADA accessible and has public Wi-Fi. So
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
And also we have present consultant Jennifer McGregor.
Oh, that's true. And we have Jennifer McGregor. Hello, Isabel. Hope you're feeling better.
Thank you. Little better.
Good. So, to move ahead with our agenda, I will ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. Everybody in agreement to the approval of the minutes? Any comments?
I
Everybody, okay, no comment, perfect, everything is approved the minutes. We move to the second point. The director's report is being deferred on the February, so we are gonna go directly to review the first draft of the City of Kingston Municipal Art Plan. And I'm gonna pass the torch now to consultant Jennifer McGregor and Kit Potter.
Well, I only bought a couple of copies.
Kit,
Kit,
I have it on my computer.
Okay.
Kit, do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Thank you for having me today. And I just wanted to just sort of set the table of where we are in the process. We have presented the collection management section of the public art policy. And this is actually section 4 of the overall policy. We will be continuing to work on this over the next few months. In the next stage, we're going to be looking at funding sources and structures. And then we're going to be delving into the sort of opening section of the policy, the roles and responsibilities and administrative review, and then the process by which projects would unfold. So those sections are coming. And I think that as we delve into them, they may sort of change what we're looking at today, but I think that the basic concepts are here. I also wanted to just mention that in developing this policy, we have taken from a number of different programs, and we recognize that it's kind of a high bar. Like, we wanted to give you the kind of best practices from around the country. It may not be, I recognize from when we met yesterday that it may not be exactly the right fit for Kingston. And of course, we're going to be working with you to make sure that it is. We recognize that there are some aspects of it. We don't want to set it so high that you can't achieve anything. So we want to make sure that it's achievable. We also see that the policy is something that just guides what you do. But we would also be presenting a kind of like an implementation guideline that would sort of set priorities for how you go about doing things. So that's something that we'll be developing hand in hand with this. So that just is a little preamble. Does anyone have any questions?
So we're still on the phase number 1, that is collection management, right? That's the document that we are reviewing today?
That's what we're starting with. Yeah.
Can I go to the document now, Jennifer, or you, Ward? Hi.
Word here, yeah.
So I have a PowerPoint that I'm going to share, but I wanted to it's a little hard to go back and forth. I just wanted to,
Yeah, Word has a question.
okay.
If you want to put the document up on the PowerPoint first, that's
Oh,
fine.
perfect, okay.
Okay, sorry.
I'm at the first, on the first page.
Do you want the whole, want me to just put the whole document up? Yep. Okay.
Let's-
First
Some of
page,
us don't have it, so.
or page number 4?
Page number 4.
Okay.
Can you see the document?
Yes?
Yeah, congratulations on the graphics, they're very handsome.
Well, we have Derek Lopez from SUNY New Paltz to thank for that.
So maybe if you can enlarge a little bit the document.
I'm not sure if I can.
Yeah, down in the bottom, the sliding, yeah, to the right.
Little slider,
There is, no,
right corner, the right corner, bottom right corner.
Well, I see what you're saying, yeah.
yeah, there. Yeah.
What did I did? I did something that sort of shifted it.
Change
You made it
the
very
view.
wide.
Made it too wide.
You changed
Yeah,
the
no,
view.
because you change the view, it should be like
Yeah,
a regular
that's
view of
it.
the document.
Yeah.
There we
There,
go.
perfect.
Okay.
There.
View,
Is it better? Okay. So where did you want me to focus it? Ward. Ward, was there, what page did you want to go to?
The page that you're on right now.
oh. Yeah, the photograph, I think that photographs as art.
It's the bullets
themselves.
under 4.1A, scope of the municipal art collection.
Yep.
The difference between the photographs and the two different bullets there, between historic photographs and.
Yeah, I'm assuming that this photograph has pieces of art, of work of art, and then the others are historic.
So I guess like the other thing I just wanted to point out was that we would be looking at public sculpture not only in city parks, but also in city buildings. So I can, but like the photographs in the room where you're sitting right now, those are some of the photographs that we're talking about. They're from the John
I'm
Matthews
just saying that and the next bullet.
Is one more documentary, like documenting photographs and other?
Yeah,
I think it's dangerous to, you know, to make
To
that
separate.
distinction.
That's fair.
Why do we need to? I mean, what would you call the photograph that's up there of Communications
Recall.
Village? Is that art or documentation? I think it's both.
Yeah.
You know,
okay, so I will get rid of photographs there. And
You will leave historic artifacts and
Yeah.
just take
or
down.
I think historic artifacts are important. Okay.
yeah, perfect.
And as I mentioned, we talked about yesterday, we would be saying, rather than mainly in city parks, we'll say in city parks and buildings. That will change.
Good.
So the second photograph is the one that is eliminated, right?
I mean, I guess I can just take it out here if you want to see it gone.
Sure.
But you do reference historical photographs in the next paragraph.
So maybe we can call them all historic artifacts.
Well, maybe we just get rid of the word historical photographs. I mean, just leave the word
What I was
photograph.
just suggesting is keep historic artifacts. And then, Because you're mentioning portable works, paintings, sculptures, and photographs. So the next section will break down, I guess, the different categories of photographs.
Yeah, I guess sort of the overall thing, the overall point I want to make in this part of of our discussion is that ultimately we have an opportunity right now to decide what is in the City of Kingston's art collection. And so there are and I can refer to the inventory if that's helpful, or we can just talk about it. But there's photographs like the ones that are in the room where you're seated. There are a lot of gifts to the mayor or to the mayors over time. Some are fine art, some are other types of things. And I think that ultimately this is the time to decide what is in what's in the collection.
I think it would be beneficial to be as broad as possible when you say a link to inventory can be found here that has individual sheets for different categories of art. Like, instead of naming all the types of categories,
Yeah.
because that's going to change as we discover more things, right? So.
Well, I guess I was just telling you what is in the inventory now, but if you'd like me to remove that.
Or just broaden the statement.
Well, but so say again.
So you could say, and has individual sheets for different categories of
Okay,
art, in the
And other
collection.
objects, yeah.
okay, great.
I'm so intrigued with this idea of mayor's gifts. If the mayor attends something, acting as mayor of the city of Kingston, and the mayor is given a gift, why does the mayor think that that's his or hers rather than?
I'm not suggesting that the mayor thinks that, but the plaques on some of them they're specifically dedicated to the ones that we were able to see in the mayor's office. I can't speak for, this was a very quick eyeballing of what's there. They're dedicated to a particular mayor. So it was like a welcome gift or whatever. It was like given to them. I don't think that those mayors didn't take them home with them. They're still there in the mayor's office.
Yeah.
But they seem to me a little bit more ceremonial. And as we were talking about yesterday,
Somebody, yeah. I would recommend that people online, if you are not speaking, please mute yourself, so we don't have. Thank you.
And may I also suggest as secretary that you identify yourself when you speak so I can have proper minutes, please.
Could you repeat it, Jack, please?
State your name before you speak.
Oh, perfect, yeah, I
Take
agree,
it on the
I totally agree.
Thank you.
So Jennifer, did you want to start from the top again for the benefit of those who did not or were not able to attend yesterday's meeting?
yeah. So I guess what I wanted to just do was maybe start by showing the inventory so that we can,
Yeah.
which kind of helps us with the conversation that we're having right now. So can you folks see this, the screen now? And the spreadsheet on the screen?
No,
Not yet.
Thanks. Okay, are you seeing it now?
Yes.
Okay, so since there are no lists of what's in the collection, we did a very quick sort of survey, and thank you to Kit for helping us with this. And so what we're looking at right now is a sheet that shows the paintings that there's 11 paintings that were from the WPA, and through our research, we have come to find that they may be the property of the U.S. government through the General Services Administration. So a next step with understanding the ownership of these paintings, it doesn't mean that the paintings would go away. It just means that the city of Kingston is the custodian for these paintings. So that is something to explore. But this is the kind of information that you would want to have in an inventory for the art collection. Obviously, the artist and the maker, the title of the work, the ownership, the medium, if it's framed, what the dimensions are, if there's a signature, if there's photographs. Well, we were taking photographs of the plaques to be able to capture that information. Photograph of the artwork, which we took, and the location of where it is right now, and a very cursory if we saw some damage. This is not a conservation report. It's just if something was really obvious. And then, in this case, the frame was cracked. So this is just information that we've gathered from looking at what we were, what's there. And so this is on the first sheet. The second sheet is sculptures, and this is a combination of some sculptures that are in City Hall and some sculptures that are out on Parks property or other city property. They include this boy with it's actually a brass sculpture of a boy, and this was recently just showed up in City Hall, and I think it points to the reason why we really want to have the Department of Cultural Affairs be kind of custodian of where the artworks are and when they're moved and so on. And there's a couple of sculptures that we haven't added to this, but this basically shows you the sculptures, the historical photographs. This is basically taking the information on the photographs that are in the room where you are right now, and transcribing any information that we could find about those. I think, Sue, you were the one that told us there was a brochure that was made at some point about this, and we haven't been able to locate it, but anyway.
We can, this is Sue. I will have someone in my office look in our files and see if we've got anything on it. I thought that there was. Yep.
Yeah, okay, that would be great. But at any rate, these are wonderful photographs. They really, they capture part of Kingston's history. And then we have the lunettes, which actually I think I've got to go to the PowerPoint to show you those because they're not on this yet. But let me just.
The images are on the links on the last column.
Yeah, I'm going to show you them from the PowerPoint. Sorry about that. I thought I had all of these things really ready to go on my screen here, but. Okay.
Maybe we don't need to see them.
Here, sorry, I just
Why don't you just go back to the PowerPoint and
you mean the document?
the PowerPoint that you presented yesterday that we flowed through?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting up on the screen right now, and
All right.
for some reason I'm not seeing it in the. Let me just try the sharing thing again. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Now, are we seeing this?
Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we are.
So this is bigger mode. Okay, so another category of public art is art that's integrated into architecture, and you have the lunettes that are in the council chambers, and each of them has a the lunette, which itself was originally white, but was painted this gold color at some point. Then you've got the decorative bas relief below it. And at the bottom of the square, there's a plaque for each one of them. And so we took down the information that's on each of the plaques. I don't think we have found information about who made them, but they are, they really tell a certain history of Kingston. And there is one that's missing, which is the Peter Stuyvesant one.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is an important part of the collection.
Well, just so everybody knows, we had leaking issues. And that lunette is actually in repair, should be repaired and put back up soon.
Oh, okay, great. That's good.
Repaired right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. I don't want to spread any rumors. And this is some of this is a good example of an artifact, this Capitol from Old City Hall. And this is where we get into this gift of the mayor, whatever, something. It has this is what's transcribed on the plaque, that it's T.R. Gallo, Mayor, 1998. There's some other, these are some other prints and photographs that are in the mayor's office. We don't have any information on those. There's a couple of objects that were presented by the Turtle Clan Chief Big Eagle that are in the office. This is just about half of the portraits of mayors, and there's a painting on the right. And again, this doesn't detail every single thing. There's a bunch of different plaques and other things that are there. And I mean, one of the things that we talked about is something like this is the property of the city of Kingston. A person of the public can't go into the mayor's office to see these, but there might be a way of displaying them in different places or rotating them around so that they would be viewable to people. But we just really need to make a decision whether these are part of the municipal art collection or whether they're a kind of sub collection, which might be gifts to the mayor, but that still need to be inventoried. But
Can I suggest that they become part of the municipal art collection with a subcategory, gifts to the mayor?
okay, great. Because they aren't things that will have, looking into the future, they're not things that will have gone through the regular process of accepting things to the city because of the nature of what they are. So, we also just wanted to mention that the collection itself doesn't include temporary art projects, but we understand that you probably will be doing temporary art projects in the future. And certainly the temporary exhibitions that are held for rotating exhibits in the city hall, or if that happens in any other city buildings, those don't necessarily follow these same collection management procedures. Those would follow, the temporary exhibitions would follow the prescribed procedures for doing exhibitions. Any questions about the temporary work?
No.
Okay. So it's going to be important to determine the statement of purpose for the Kingston Art Collection. And this will help guide the types of artwork that you want to acquire in the future. And these points were taken from the, what I could find about the sort of chartership of the Art Commission and I think maybe the cultural plan as well. But this I think is something for us to take a little closer look at to see if this reflects what we want to say. And I also recognize that this may be something that we might not decide on this today because we're going to be going through this whole process with the whole policy, and we might want to come back and fine tune it. So,
What I want to ask, Jennifer, is, with this, it's like, this is something that we have to get done as part of writing the public art policy. We're completing this draft, we're going into the funding plan, and then very soon, we're going to do, a deep dive into creating our public art policy. So how do you recommend that we get this statement of work, purpose work done? In the here and now, I mean, I guess it looks like we have about a month to get this statement of purpose done. Do you have samples that you might be able to provide to us of other like cities and their statement of purpose with their public art policies?
yeah,
And that will be a discussion of the committee or the full commission?
I think both, but I'd
Okay.
like to get to my
To get
answer.
the, yeah.
sure, I can do that.
So you do see samples out there that you might be able to show us that we
Yeah,
might.
I'm happy to pull that together for you.
Yeah, like our beloved Asheville and others.
I think,
Just like Kingston's, that we might be able to at least start with, at least a starting point, because as we always say, we're not reinventing this wheel. We have so many models that we can follow that look like Kingston. So I'm just hearing, I know that this is that we have to get it done. But it would be really, helpful if we had something else to stare at.
okay, that sounds good.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Marlena?
No, I just wanted to know if the discussion, how we will handle the working on that statement. And the other thing to take
Well,
into consideration.
let me get to that question.
Oh, sure.
I think, this is just what I'm thinking, is that the committee works on that with me and Jennifer, and then we move it here to the commission.
Okay, and we.
Like we're doing with this particular plan right now.
That makes sense.
to
And
be-
the other thing, and the other thing to add to that should be take into consideration the current collection to shape the statement, or the statement is a new?
I'll give that to Jennifer.
Okay.
Jennifer, did you hear the question?
I didn't quite understand the question, sorry.
The statement of purpose somehow needs to take into consideration what is currently part of the collection.
Yep.
Or if we are gonna, like, starting anew with a different, I don't know, just.
Well, part of like the second point there, encourage permanent artwork that broadens the municipal art collection in ways that reflect, celebrate, include the community. I mean, I think that there is a time period that's represented in the collection that you might look at and say, that's great, but it doesn't represent all the voices in the community.
Yes.
And so I think that you want to, I would say you want to convey that this is a starting point, but we're going to be going beyond this. We're not going to be getting, so.
Yeah, work.
I think that these ideas that establish a focus that advances Kingston as an arts destination, that, engaging as many of Kingston residents as possible, providing a way for others to propose temporary artwork on city property. I think this is an important point to have, because you may not be able to initiate every single, you're not going to have funds to initiate every single project, but you want to be able to steward and partner with other people who might want to do projects. And then I've heard a lot about offering opportunities to exhibit and acquire work by artists who are active in the region. As something. And Maggie, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just I'm concerned about time,
Yep.
and is not the purpose of the committee, is not the statement of purpose the work of the committee as opposed to the work of the commission, and that the committee should be, this is the work the committee should be doing and bringing to the commission,
Okay.
rather than trying to hammer out the language in the full group and then, bring a recommendation based, I agree with Kit that you can provide us with some samples.
Yep.
But then have the committee do this work rather than us trying to hammer all of this out
Okay, that makes
as a
sense.
commission. I'm just,
I'd like to make one point, though, about this part of it, because I think it's very important that we should all be able to talk about, other than the fact that there's an extra word in this possible areas of to be included.
Okay.
I think that we need to, in the bullets, somehow include historic photographs. In other words, there's so much about art and artists, but not necessarily important documentation. I mean, it could have been, you know, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a photograph of the dedication of the AME Zion Church? There was a photograph that I included in the Sewing in Kingston show that I loved. It's like in 1923, Jewish tailors, the meeting for their summer picnic in the city of Kingston. These kinds of things that I don't consider art, but I consider them a really important documentation.
That tells the story of
That's
Kingston.
cultural tourism.
Is there an archive, like a city archive that is responsible, or?
County archive, I don't think it's a city archive.
Okay,
There's a city archive.
okay.
But that you're saying this policy will cover those types of pieces.
And should encourage them the same way it's encouraging, works by artists.
Okay.
So the Friends of Historic Kingston, they are like an independent organization, right? Do they have that kind of documentation?
They do have that kind of documentation, but I want this in the city's collection so that we
Yeah,
can
of
put it
course.
on the walls here.
To have our own, yeah.
Yeah. And you could say, well, we could borrow it, but, photographs only can be borrowed for, a
Yeah.
finite amount of time.
Okay, well, I will, you know what, I'll make a note of that and put this to, maybe I'll put together a little document about statement of purpose to share with the committee, and maybe what people can whatever you think is best for getting people's feedback.
Yeah, we'll work on it. Like I said, I'll work with you and the committee on the draft.
Yep.
That will present not only to the commission, but also get the mayor and other city employees, Ruth Ann, get other Ruth Ann's on the committee, but you know what I mean. Other input from, other people that might be able to weigh in on that. And then, we need a timeline for this. So shall we suggest that by the next commission meeting or before? You're following a certain timeline, Jennifer, so you'll have to do this.
I mean, for my timeline, it has to be done by the final, I would say by the time we're starting to work on the policy, which is.
Okay, great, so we have a little time.
So I think we have some time. This is very important, and I don't think there's any reason to really rush it. So I think it's so anyway, that sounds like a plan. So moving along, these are just, so once you have your statement of purpose, then you will have strategies, and this is to how to carry them out. And this is something that we'll be working on during policy. But I just wanted to show, because we've been focused on some possibilities for how we think about going into the future. One is integrating art into capital projects that could be buildings, parks, and streets. This, I know we are going to be exploring these funding possibilities in the next phase, but this is just a Howard Theater Walk of Fame in DC. Here is a project that was actually funded by a corporation, and it was located in 3 different locations in New York. So this is a way of being open to ideas that people might want to put on city property. Looking at partnerships with organizations that are bringing artists to different locations. This is Project Blackboard, which engages artists to renovate and install these basketball courts in different cities. So this is the kind of thing that once you have a policy, you can be open to these different things that might be out there that would be relevant. And looking for as we look for dedicated funding sources, there might be something that could fund a project every year or every other year in one of the city parks. And then I have worked with the Downtown Brooklyn Partnership on several sculptures. This was funded through the Downtown Redevelopment Initiative, which are state funds that were able to fund temporary sculpture. And this is Sherwin Banfield's The Sky's the Limit in the County of Kings. It was located in 2 different locations. And this is Siobhan Nichols, that her sculpture that honors Lewis Latimer, who's an important American inventor, at his home, and then it moved to downtown Brooklyn. This was also done with a youth corps that helped build it and helped redesign it. So just different ways that you can have partnerships that can that we're not seeing it's just only the city doing this. There may be ways that we can be bringing other people into the conversation. And certainly, as we've talked about ways of engaging students, this is an example of a project that the University of Buffalo students helped fabricate and design for a park in Columbus, Indiana. And it's a way of tracking bats and birds in their habitat. So this is just a kind of interlude to sort of point us in the future of the work that we're going to be continuing to do together. So the different types of the acquisition types that we're talking about are commission, which involves contracting with an artist to create a new work that either becomes part of the collection or it could be a temporary project. Purchasing is obviously buying an artwork. A citizen-initiated artwork is what I was talking about in terms of making a pathway for people to propose projects. Gifts are gifts, and one of the things that we talk about in this process is how to the collection management guidelines are really a way to say yes and no to accepting gifts. And then loans are loaning artwork for a specific point of time to the city. And we have mapped out different criteria, and the first being that it's consistent with the statement of purpose and the scope of the collection. So that's where the statement of purpose comes in to make sure that what we're doing is on track with what our goals are. Do you want me to go through all of these or just ask if people have questions, or I don't want to.
I think yesterday you had mentioned that
We talked about it.
yeah, we did, but I'm just looking at examples, like the examples of the peacock and the tree that are downstairs. That was kind of that kind of example of, you know, the residents of the city or an organization.
Sponsor, right? The peacock were sponsored by different businesses, I think.
It was the Art Society of Kingston.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
So I think what you can think about is that in the future, you would be using this as a guideline to decide whether you wanted to accept the peacock or not, for instance, or any other thing that came up.
And then we agreed to take out the is not at odds with the values of anti-racism, equity, and make that a more positive statement, right?
I was yesterday.
Yeah, I actually, this is the PowerPoint, so I can't change it, but I will change it.
Yeah, but I'm just for the benefit of those commissioners who weren't there, and our guest.
Yes.
Just, you know, making sure that we are telling the public that that statement is going to be more on the positive angle as opposed to a negative.
Right. Exactly. And also that since the DEI AI was very important as in the cultural plan, we want to make sure that we're carrying that through with this planning, and that the language is in sync with other language that the city's using. So
For the master plan?
yeah, the cultural plan.
Right.
So again, we want to run this, you know, this will ultimately be run through others, so we make sure it's in sync with the city policies.
Right.
So when we think about what's the review process here? So all inquiries would start with the Department of Cultural Affairs, which is really important. So even if someone goes to the mayor, or the common council, or a department head and wants to do an art project, they would direct them to Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs and set up a process on the website whereby people can apply or have a conversation with KIT to get the process going. Once the completed applications would be presented to the Public Art Committee. Now, the Public Art Committee is something that doesn't exactly exist right now, but that's what, there would be a body that presumably would be sort of the way the Public Art, the Public Art Policy Committee has been working, that would be responsible for reviewing things. They would help find an appropriate location if one hadn't already been designated, and work with the city departments to review, any logistical issues that need to be reviewed. So, as well as understanding the responsibility of costs. I mean, this is very important for things that are gifts. If someone's going to give you a big sculpture, who's going to pay to transport it? Where the footings, foundations, all of that, currently Kingston doesn't have that kind of funding. So you want to make sure that's spelled out, who will be paying for it. And once all of that's set, then the Public Art Committee would make a recommendation to the mayor. And the mayor would be the final sign off on it.
I have a question. I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I know that because we're talking about the local government, in regard to gift, there are always some conflict of interest, that limits certain values. How does that play here? Is any consideration to a conflict of interest for the gifts that are being given, or because they are given to the collection, there is no conflict of interest?
I think that's a really good question. And maybe, are there conflict of interest guidelines that the city adheres to in general for contractors and, other?
It's in yours. Remember the 50,000 pages we had you sign?
Okay, I'll take a look at that.
Okay.
I think that's a good point. So I mean, if you want to, we can call that out. They'll ensure there's no conflict of interest, or.
What would be an example of a conflict of interest?
A contractor that eventually wants to gain the favor of the mayor and gives something because maybe would like to have I don't know.
How do you put that in a policy?
We get a quote kind of thing?
Can you, Jennifer, we do have an example of this or was it Sue Cahill? Are you still with us?
So, I don't know.
The fireman statue by the firehouse that was donated during a certain political time. Do you remember that conversation?
And the developer who was donated had a proposal before the city. It didn't, don't think it got accepted, but at any rate, you wouldn't want to have someone who had proposals for the city giving gifts. So.
That's a good example.
Okay, so, but we have a policy, right?
That's what would be written into the policy.
Okay.
Right. Are we done with 4.4?
Yep. I'll make sure that we add that.
Pardon?
We can add that about the conflict of interest.
Okay, let me, for public information, it's very important that our beloved residents of the city of Kingston understand that this municipal art plan, this public art policy is municipal in nature. It does not relate to, or it does not have anything to do with privately owned property. So I just wanted that emphasized because we do, this is being live streamed. So the benefit of everybody listening and everybody that will listen later, this is a municipal art plan and public art policy, the city of Kingston's. We are focused on what is on or in city property.
Can I bring up another issue?
Sir,
Do any cities that we know of, when a major work of art, let's say a large sculpture, is offered as a gift, that the city also requests maintenance funds
Yes,
to be able to maintain the piece over the years?
yes, that is very common. And I think that was in the guidelines, that was part of what you negotiate with a gift. I didn't put everything up here, but you can set it up as like an escrow account where you put the funds into that, and it throws off some money to be for the regular maintenance based on what the project requires for maintenance.
Yeah,
Do you
isn't
think it
that
should
part of
be-
what's included in section 4.3, acquisition criteria?
I think that I saw it.
I think that was part of that, but
In other words, it doesn't mean that we won't accept
It
it.
just says provisions, technical.
For transportation, installation, future maintenance.
Yeah, what's provisions?
As determined by the PUC.
That's part of 4.3.
Yeah.
and I think you can also, you'd be asking for that at the time of
Yeah,
giving gifts. You'd be like, well, what's involved with maintaining this? You'd get a
Okay. That's a technical criterion, not a.
Yeah.
I didn't, it doesn't, the PowerPoint doesn't have every single word on it, because I thought that would just
Yeah.
really.
That's fine. Okay.
Cool.
So then this 4.5 is about collections, maintenance, and responsibilities. And I think this is an area where we've laid out a lot of information, and it is a lot to imagine Kingston being able, what can Kingston do right now? So I think the important thing here is that the Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs is the point person for any type of moving of the art, or repairing, maintaining. There has to be a point person, a point office that's responsible for this. So part of this overall collection management includes the physical inventory of all the artworks, which we talked about. Ultimately, down the line, it means overseeing the assessment and treatment and maintenance and relocation of the artwork, and directing the repair of any artwork. And then developing agreements for treatment and maintenance of artwork where needed. This might be something that is contracted out to someone, to someone who would help the city do this. It may not be an actual staff, but there's different ways of setting something like this up. But it's, I think at this point, there aren't people on the city staff who are trained to be taking care of artwork. So you don't want other people undertaking that. So. And that we also we have a little section about what the city departments are responsible for, which is things like, mowing around the sculptures properly, just kind of understanding that this is artwork that they need to care for, to be respectful of, and notifying if there's any kind of vandalism or disrepair. Notifying the Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs when that happens.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question from our last couple meetings regarding insurance? When you guys are doing this work of inventorying, and
that's in here.
it is, okay, good.
It's coming.
All right.
So this sort of tags along with what we were just talking about, is designating the Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs to be the point person for relocating artwork. And then there's a section on documents and records, which again, this goes into a lot of detail, but it does outline what in the ideal world you would have with your inventory of the art collection. There's probably will be holes in the work that's in the collection right now, but it helps for going forward, making sure that you're getting all the information that you need in an efficient way with new works that come into the collection. And
I just want to go a little bit back again to the 4.5. We are talking about a public art director, so I'm assuming that we also are studying the possibilities of funding more staff, because this is a lot of work.
it's a lot of work. It
to
is.
keep this, and there should be like some system procedures to review.
Yep.
I don't know if it was every year or something like that, you know. Okay, so that consideration is coming with the policy?
That is coming with the rest. I mean, in a way, we're sort of backing into this because we started with a collection.
Yeah.
So, but it's helping us understand like what the needs are.
Yeah.
So,
To make the point where we need the funding.
make a
Yeah.
point where we need the help, and then something like this, what I could see is there's a little, this first stage is maybe some temporary help to help create the inventory, for instance. You're not going to be probably needing to maintain things constantly. But
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
there will be upfront work with this, and it will be dependent on having funds to pay someone to do this. Certainly this is not what Kit can do, she has a job. I think in the doc we had the word public art director, like this.
Yeah.
This comes back to the public art, like there's someone in public art who's going to, Kit won't be fielding all these questions. In the ideal world, this would be a public art person that would be it.
Okay.
So, and then the deaccessioning policy is really, as there is this,
I'm sorry, Jennifer, because the PowerPoint doesn't really go to this, and Lisa Kelly just went to the valuation of the art and insurance. It's in the big document, but I don't think it's in your
PowerPoint.
Can you just speak to that just a couple of minutes?
Or direct in this big document?
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that the first thing that's really important for insurance is knowing what you have that needs to be insured. So that is where the inventory comes in. And also with the understanding of when you have loans and work temporarily on city property, will the city be insuring that, or are you requesting that the lender carry the insurance? So for instance, when there's an exhibition, is that fall under the city's insurance policy or not? So we have to, this is an area where we need to do some more work on to understand how your insurance policy works. We haven't really had a chance to this yet, but in the going forward mode, when you get a gift, you would ask for a appraiser's report, so you know what is this worth. So when you get the artwork, you're you sort of know what the insurance value is. It's going to be really tough with a lot of these works that are in the collection to really set insurance, a value for them, to have an appraiser come and appraise them. They're not, what appraisers are looking at is the sales record of the artist. They're looking at the auction records. They're looking at, if you had a de Kooning painting, they would be able to tell you how much it was worth. But with some of these things, so I think I'd be interested to know what the insurance have to say about that. But I think we found that there was a line item when they do the insurance policy. There's a line item for art in the policy, but it's there. They put it in, but it isn't linked into any, what.
And the deductible is very high. So that's something, once we do value every piece of art that we have and we give it to because this is work that's really never been done before.
Yeah.
And it's really an effort, but once we get it all done, and we get the information, the value, the dimensions, all this stuff to the insurance carrier, they will be able to then, establish a policy for us that actually points to the artwork in question, as opposed to a generic, well, here's a $100,000 policy that you'll have to pay a crazy deductible for, so don't bother.
Yeah, there are some cities that are self-insured and they just say they're self-insured and they don't really insure their artwork. So,
Man, why does it always have to be that way with art? Just devalued at every turn.
It's always considered a social aspect, yeah, whatever, yeah.
Why is it always about art?
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Devalued always?
so any other questions about the insurance, about that section? Okay. So then we've also laid out a deaccessioning policy. So this, so that how you get art in the collection is a very thoughtful process. How you remove art from the collection is also an equally thoughtful process. So we actually found that the city of Portland, which is their program is run by the Regional Arts, is RACC. I'm just blanking out on the name of it's a nonprofit actually that runs the public art program. But in any case, they are the one place that has really updated their deaccessioning policy based on a lot of the Black Lives Matter issues that have come up that came up specifically in their city. So we really use that policy as a model for you folks. So I don't have this on the slide, but I don't know if we want to look at in more specifics at the policy, but there's specific criteria for why you would remove something. There's a recommendation that you wait 10 years before you remove it, because hopefully you've gone through a lot of thought in terms of getting it there in the first place. And there's a process by which you have a committee that reviews it. And, again, they would make the recommendation to the mayor, to the public art committee, and then the mayor. And then there's the manner of disposition, which is you start by going back to the artist and saying, would you like this artwork back? Maybe you trade a different artwork with the artist. If the artist is no longer alive, you can then auction work. It outlines different steps. So the likelihood of you needing, hopefully you wouldn't need to act on this, but it's really important to have it spelled out. So if you do, you have a process. And I think that what's been really proven to be really important is having a way to have dialogue about what the concerns are that people have. And also, the last thing you want to do is get rid of it. So you want to explore, like, if we move it somewhere else, if we add something else to this location that makes it more that brings up contemporary issues, are there ways we can address what these concerns are that have come? This is in a case where there's, people aren't happy with the artwork. You also will have situations where something is like beyond repair, like it's going to cost like $1 million to repair it and it's only worth 10,000. Maybe the time where you just like got to remove it. So there's some sort of more, or let's just say the city council chambers, have something integrated in the architecture and now the building has to be demolished. Of course, not City Hall, but somewhere else. You're going to have to deaccession it. So there's lots of sort of practical reasons why this might be something to consider. So, and then this is just.
We have about 20 some odd minutes to go before we gotta let zoning in.
Because we need 5 minutes of announcement before adjourning. Yeah, but I guess that we get, a question in the part of the definitions, is that the language kit that you were mentioning about reviewing the diversity, equity, and inclusion concepts
Yeah.
that are there? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I have them highlighted.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did we lose the screen share?
Yeah, I was sort of I can put it back on because we were just at the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, if we could like scroll through whatever else is left for, public information, that'd be great, whatever, comes next. If we were just done.
The thing that came next was the sources. But if you want me to bring up the document and look at anything from the document itself, I'm happy to do that.
Well, wait a minute, we had 4.8, where did we stop? 4.8?
Yeah, that's the last one.
Yeah, matter of
Because then there are the,
Matter of disposition, and then we have abbreviations, and then you have the
And the appendix.
definitions.
there's a draft for a loan agreement.
And then there's a sample loan agreement. I
Yeah.
think that I
Why
love
don't
this.
If you want, why don't I pull up the
Yeah.
document and look at, because that's where all the,
For public view.
okay, good, because I just didn't wanna I didn't put all that was kind of dense to put in the PowerPoint, so let me just get that up. Okay. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe I can make it a little bigger? Is
No,
that-
it's fine.
Right, it's good.
That's good, that's good.
So we'll just go down to the so these are all the sections down to the okay. These are the abbreviations, and then this is the sources, and then this is the definitions. And these were definitions that again, things like the anti-racism, I would want to make sure these are in sync with
This is our culture. Yes.
for Kingston.
Hang out.
Most of these are, there will be other definitions that we'll add as we go into the other sections, but these are the ones that sort of focus on the
Yeah.
collection management section.
Yeah, thank you for those. Because sometimes because I'm a performing artist, so there's times when visual artists are speaking their language, I have no idea what they're talking about. So this is very helpful for everybody, but also, just to define, Maggie had, talked about, definitions, how important that is.
Yeah.
They have this defined, like public art, stop there. What is public art? It's right there. What is public artwork? It's right there. Just for all of you who are watching on TV, when you look back in the definitions, if you want to know the definition of public art, public artwork, it is here in the definitions.
I think there's also there are some places that define public art with a long list of glass, sculpture, ceramics, and I prefer to have a definition that's just pretty wide open. So that, because there might be augmented reality exists now and people do that with public art. Well, that didn't exist, 10 years ago. So then you have to update your policy. You'd really rather just have a pretty extended, idea of it. And I did notice that there are some places that have put festivals and performances as part of public art. So
Where are we with that? Art festivals and performances of public art? Dance, music.
We could consider temporarily.
I think they're temporary, and I think that's a question that we haven't gone deep into what is public art yet, but because you do festivals and performances, part of it is, do you want these rules to apply to those things?
Yeah.
Part of it, because they do have a different,
How many are municipal?
I run a lot.
That's true, right.
I also-
Preserving like the.
They're all temporary.
Yeah.
So,
What does it possess
But
a
then,
function?
do you want all these policies to apply to those events?
well, I don't know that all of
Oh.
these policies actually do apply to the performing arts component. And Sarah Pasty has something to say about this. Go ahead.
You say no.
I would say no, you would probably limit this to actual physical objects, probably more than anything else.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I think that when part of what we're talking about is what is in the collection and what is temporary art not in the collection. And certainly performance would not be in the collection. However, the video of that performance might be in the collection.
Yeah, because we
So
are
that's the kind of thing that we have to define as part of our purpose.
Thank you, because I was just going to say that we are partnering with Hutzi, and they're gonna be covering a lot of what we're doing.
So that documentation is part of the material culture.
Yeah, it's an object, it's a video, it's something that.
So the
It's
video
advised,
of the
yeah.
performance is part of the collection.
It's a CD.
Yeah.
Could be.
Remember CD?
It's a solid
And
statement.
what rights does the city have for it, so if it's somebody else performing?
Okay,
Say it again, Richard, out loud.
What rights does the city have to the video if it's somebody performing, the work? Is there,
We paid for it, we contracted, and there's a lot in the contract
and
that
then
says
in the
should be.
contract, it says
Those are the
that-
questions we answer in the future.
Can I finish, please? Our contract specifically states that you give us the rights to record.
Yeah.
They can also opt out and say, no, I do not want my
Okay.
performance recorded. And then it specifies what will be done with said recording.
Yeah.
and also
what
who has the
purpose-
copyright of that recording, because maybe the city have the right to keep it, but the city's not gonna sell it, right?
Right, well, it states
Yeah.
that in the performing contracts. It's very specific.
We have about 10 minutes or less to be wrapping up.
Well, I want to talk about what Anna Conlon brought up yesterday during the committee meeting. And part of what she stated, and I agree, is that, we're looking for a plan that actually relates to our here and now. There's much in this plan that's aspirational, but it's not feasible, attainable for a party of one to be running out all of this. So we should take more care, some care in the language here. When you say that, like for instance, Jennifer, when you say that the responsibility is, or the Arts and Cultural Affairs Department will be doing this and we'll take care of that. Perhaps it can just simply be for this plan, and we know that plans are subject to change every 3 years. But for this particular plan, the responsibility to see that it gets done is the Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs. Because that went to, perhaps Kit Potter is not, whether I have a job, that was cool, but my successor might have these skills to take care of this. We don't know that, but that will not be a requirement necessarily. If it happens to be so, great. However, we want to understand right now that I am asked to set aside monies in my budget to take care of the phase 1 of this implementation, and then the year after that, and the year after that. We hope that that will grow. We hope that, in the funding plan, we'll identify funding sources that can help us with, the further implementation of this plan. So I just want to, I understood where Anna Conlon, the Dorsky director, was coming from. The concerns are that this might be too ambitious, but I think that it's not a big fix. Jennifer, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's I look to kind of continued conversations about how we can right size it for Kingston. I do feel like just hearing some of the issues that have come up today, you want to make sure that you're having the authority to take care of this stuff, that people recognize that the Department of Cultural Affairs is the place to go. And that they don't start their own art projects on their own. And so I think that part of that is just should not get lost here. I think that the understand, a phasing, like an implementation plan to understand that this has to be phased to be able to do all of these things, will go some way to help that. But I think that we can probably, I think we can certainly work on the language, because I understand you don't want to be held up to be doing all of this when it's impossible.
And I really just want to mislead funding sources. We want to give the funding sources, this is, a vision, a goal, however, in the here and now, this is what we have to work with, that's what we need your money. Go ahead.
Well, I want to ask another question. I do want to say that forming this document is a really great argument for more funds for the department.
Right, that's what was said yesterday.
Okay.
However, to be realistic about.
Sure, but to phase it out and to have an executive summary that states that, that goes along with the policy. But my question really is just a part of the wrap up here is this inventory that you were showing us and giving us links to, is that a complete inventory or how complete is it?
No.
It's not. It's an inventory. I mean, we were not asked to make an inventory, but I recognize that we really couldn't have this conversation about the collection without having
So
someone.
you have a sense of a percentage of how much that actually represents of the entire collection?
I don't really know. I mean, there's a lot of questionable thing. Questionable isn't the right word. There's a lot of things that are hanging in City Hall that are they art? Are they framed photograph that someone left behind? We haven't gone to any of the other buildings besides City Hall, so there is some more work to be done. I don't think that there's like a huge warehouse of artwork that we don't know about yet, but there does need to be a little more work, and there needs to be some digging to fill in some of the blanks to see if there's paperwork that indicates that something,
This is one of the things in the implementation is that we need to complete that inventory.
Oh yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any sense of scope here.
The thing is that because there was no inventory before, we don't really know what is out there, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think we're going to cover the major things that are like really obvious, but I don't know. Kit, do you have a sense of, or Sue, like how much
Stuff out there.
Is someone going to the police department, the fire department? I mean, those are city-owned buildings. I don't know. I'm not saying you must do this right away, but just to remember.
To have an idea, yeah.
What, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
And the sites, the parks, the city-owned sites also, yes.
The neighborhoods.
I mean, this was also taken, we met with Lindsay from Parks, and she told us about what was there. And there's also things like paintings on handball courts that were just done somewhere along the way. And I think that those are things that maybe would fall into temporary art, that you don't necessarily need to be maintaining a painting on a handball court forever. But
yeah.
Or like going forward, I mean, this is why this is really important to have the policy, because you would say like, okay, you're going to do a temporary mural on our handball court and it's only going to be up for a year and that's it. And we're going to paint it out when it's over. And that was the agreement that you went into with it. And that's, it's very common to come across when you're doing what you're doing is you're going to come across these mystery things that you just don't really know how and why they got there.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'd like to just thank so much the members of this hardworking Public Art Policy Committee, the commissioners, our beloved Sarah Pasty, our alderwoman, who is also She's everywhere. It's Jerry, seeing Sarah come to this or that meeting. But this is really intense work, and Jennifer, we really appreciate, Jennifer McGregor, consultant, we really appreciate your work on this.
Thank you very much. So is there any announcement that the commissioners and guests would like to share before we adjourn the meeting? Lisa, do we have announcements about mad or draw or anything? No?
Anything coming up?
Any events from the city?
Oh, Jello Jamboree.
Oh, Jello Jamboree.
What's Jello Jamboree?
It's a fundraiser for our arts education program where we do an open call for Jello sculptures.
I was
And
going to
then-
ask when the open call will be.
It is fantastic.
Check your
It
email.
really
Is the one
is.
that just arrived?
You
yeah,
think it's
we'll
gonna be
save the
silly,
date.
but it's not, it's great.
Yeah.
No, it's great and so.
And,
What's the public, what do you want the
What's the
public to
date?
know?
oh, it's Saturday, February 17th.
About, yeah.
At the Fuller Building from 6 to 8, I think. Terrible.
And there's a competition of yellow sculptures.
We just rolled this out like today. So yeah, and we'll be having more information for registration on Eventbrite, so just check out drawkingston.org.
What time is it?
Just go to drawkingston.org. And if anybody wants to look at this whole draft document, it is on,
Oh, that's what it was last time.
You shared it with, is
Okay.
on the website?
yeah, I'm just trying to let the public know what they're talking,
Yeah,
so.
it's the same as last year.
The draft municipal art plan document is on the City of Kingston meetings calendar. If you go to this date, Arts Commission meeting, you click on, you will be able to see that, okay? So anybody has any questions, my email address is kpotter@kingston.
Dash.
NY.gov. Okay.
You can find it on the Kingston website. So do we have any other announcement? Do we have an announcement from Bart, from the Department of State? From the Rio Center? No? Well, kids from the city until the winter is gone, we are not planning anything
Well,
yet?
our first event is in March. We'll be
In March.
talking about that.
Perfect, we will talk about that. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion adjournment.
Seconded? Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer, and all our guests. So we will see you next month.